G'day everyone, welcome to another full-scale Fishing Adventures Tech Talk. Currently still in lockdown, but I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to run you through how I like to paint the bibs on my Dino 90s, and we'll also run through how you can add a few extra rattles into the Dino 90 to create that bit of extra noise while it's running through the snags. So there is so many cod lures on the market these days, it is just absolutely insane, but I really like the Dino 90 for a couple of reasons, particularly if you're just starting out with your native fishing, because the Dino 90s, they get eaten by big cod, but they also get eaten very regularly by yellow belly as well, and I think that's good. That keeps the confidence up. It can be a long day, but a long time between cod bites, so having something that, you know, keeps the interest going by catching a few yellows along the way can be so much easier on the mind than fishing something very large which might only get eaten once every 4 or 5 days. So Dino 90 is a great bait. Let's get to it. So you're going to need some masking tape. The painter's masking tape will peel off a lot easier, and then also some black spray paint. I just use the enamel stuff that's out of the cupboard in the shed, and I prefer a matte black colour, so if I had to choose I'd go with the matte over the gloss for painting the bibs. So the first thing you want to do is take the hooks off the lure, and this one's also got the split ring on the toe point there, so going to get rid of that one as well. And then we've just got the lure itself. So to ensure that you get a nice finish, spend a little bit of time just masking up the lure, so that with in mind that any exposed areas are going to get covered in paint. So just spend as much time as you need just to mask it up, so that when you spray paint it all, you've got nice neat lines across the edge of the bib there. So you can see with this one, even though I love this lure and it gets eaten fairly regularly, the paint sort of, went a bit astray there. So prefer it if you can get a nice clean finish. So just spend a bit of extra time just masking the lure up. Doesn't matter how much masking tape you use, you can always peel it off, but it is very hard to try and wipe the paint off once it has gone everywhere. So spend a few minutes masking that lure up. So I'm no lure maker, and I'm definitely no lure painter by any means, so that's why I just cover the whole lure in tape, and then I know when I'm letting rip with the spray can, the only bit that's going to get paint on it is the bib, and if there's a bit of overspray, it's not going to really matter. It's not going to affect the finish on the actual lure itself. So now that we've done that, we can head down to our little painter box and give her a coat. So I got the little box here, and it's just got a hook on there so that when I've painted the lure, I can just hook it up and let it dry. I'd probably be doing this outside normally, but the weather's been so bad lately, I'm just going to do it inside here. So I always make sure the can's nice and mixed up, and then I just like to hold the back of the lure and hold the spray can a little way away from the lure, and then just give it a light spray, spinning the lure just like that. And you'll find if you just go easy with it, it'll give it a nice finish that's not runny, and then you end up with a painted bib like that. And then once that's done, you can simply just hook it on the hook. So once that's dry, just give it a few extra coats, and that'll stop the paint chipping off when it runs over like rocks and logs and that sort of thing. So while that's happening, we'll head back up and I'll show you how to insert a rattle into the lure itself. So adding the extra rattle in there was something that was shown to me by a very famous Lower Murray cod angler named Wagsy many years ago, like a long time ago, and he explained about using shotgun shot to put into his lures to add the extra rattle. And when you think about it, it's actually a great way of giving your lure its own sound. It's like different to everyone else's, so you can add 1, 2, 3, 4, however many shots you like, that doesn't affect the action of the lure, and it will sound different to any other person's lure because they haven't got the same rattles as what you have. So it's quite a good trick. So you're going to need a drill. For the size 2 shot that I'm using, a 3.5mm drill bit, a UV torch and then some of the UV Solares epoxy finish. So the way that I actually found out about where I could put the shot into the dynos is I've actually chopped one completely in half, and as you can see here, it's got all the technology inside of it, but we've got the chamber here where the battery goes. So you're actually able to put a small hole just on the tail end of the eye, and that way that puts it inside this big compartment here, so there's no obstructions apart from the cable, but that doesn't seem to worry it too much for your rattle to tick around inside there. Okay, so first things first, we're going to make our hole, and like I said, you want to go just in on the tail side behind the eye of the lure. You see that's inside that big chamber. I'm just going to get it so that those daggy bits come off of there, just like that. Now, the smaller the hole you can get away with, the better, because then you've got less to epoxy. So I'd rather be, you know, almost forcing those bits of shot in there than not, because that means that the hole that I've got is only small after repair. So we've put 2 in there. That's quite a good rattle, and I think 2, you know, 2 is a good amount because you get a nice good rattle, but you're not going to affect the weight of the lure. So you're not going to affect its buoyancy. And remember too, you know, if you're upgrading your hooks, that's going to add to the weight as well. So we don't want to affect the way that the lure swims. So now that we've done that, so for anyone that doesn't know, Solares, it's actually something that we use to make epoxy heads on flies, but it is a really good thing for a lot of different things in fishing, particularly repairing holes in lures. So this is just, I'd usually use a bodkin, but this is just a screwdriver that's got a nice fine point, and that means that I can just dip into the Solares, and you only start small and go from there, because you can always put more on. So I'm just going to put a little bit over the hole, and when you hit this with a UV torch, it'll set it instantly. So as soon as you hit it, that's gone rock hard, and then we can add a little bit more. You see that one actually filled the hole. And the great thing about Solares too is that it'll get harder in the sun. So when you're out on the water, the sunlight's actually going to make this set even more. So what I'm doing, rather than just trying to fill the hole all at once, I'm doing it in increments, so that I'll do a little bit, I'll set it, and then I'll do a little bit more and set it a little bit more again, until I'm happy that I've repaired the hole. If you try and do it in one go, you'll find that the Solares on the inside won't have set, whereas the stuff on the outside will, and it's just not a good way to do it. So now we're sort of just proud of the actual face of the side of the lure, and that's pretty much all set. So that sets like rock hard, and then we've got our rattle. So, and you can see with my dynos, I've got a few that sounds different to that one. So that's just almost a bit higher pitch rattle, and that one's a little bit duller. So I've got lots of different sounding, and that one's like a duller one again. So it gives you the ability to, you know, mix it up a bit, and particularly if you fish the same waters often, something like that. Just this is what that guy explained to me, was that, you know, just a little change in the sound signature of your lure can make a big difference, because if they haven't heard it before, they might be a bit more willing to eat it. So with the magic of TV, here we have our finished painted bib, Dyno 90, with our unique sound signature, and hopefully that catches you a few more fish next time you're out in the water. Thanks very much for watching.